Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fitness Goal Friday. Today's topic is super relevant to almost everybody, and it's one of the biggest things that holds people back to achieving their goals because they feel helpless when they do this, and that's when they travel. So today's topic is going to be how to eat healthy while you're traveling, because so many people will feel like they kind of have to start over after a big trip, after a vacation, a bachelorette weekend, a bachelor trip, somebody's birthday weekend, a trip down to Mexico after spring break, right? Like a lot of people will go on these vacations and they will lose a lot of progress that they've already had and feel like they need to start over. So we need to find a way to either maintain where we're currently at or still try to progress a little bit. So today's topic is how to eat healthy while you're traveling. But before I dive into it, I want to make sure you guys go check out the Best You 10-week fitness goal setting program, because I truly feel like one of the biggest powers of the program is to help people with issues like this, because so many people feel like it's not the right time to start a fitness goal because they have a lot of things going on. They have a lot of vacations. It's summertime. They're going to be traveling on Christmas break. They're going to spring break. But the reality of the situation is, right, there's always going to be time when you're traveling. If it's beginning of the year, you might be doing New Year's. You might be going on a long weekend for MLK weekend. You might be doing a St. Patty's Day trip. You might be doing an Easter trip. You might be doing spring break. Then summer's going to start and you're going to go on a beach trip. You're going to go to the lake. You're going to go hiking. You're going to do July 4th, right? There's always these things. I could go throughout the rest of the year. There's always things that pop up that have the ability to hold you back from making progress towards your goal. And that's why it's never the wrong time to start, because there's always going to be those obstacles. But it's a great time to jump into my 10-week program, because I'm going to coach you through those situations to make them not as bad as they could be, so that you can either maintain where you're currently at or continue to make progress, but just to make sure that you do not fall behind. So if you want to learn more about the 10-week program, then go to go.nickcarrier.com/10-week program. Again, go.nickcarrier.com/10-week program. But for now, let's go ahead and dive right into how to eat healthy when you're traveling. Again, this is something that I deal with so many different clients, whether it's a bachelorette weekend, a bachelor trip, a vacation down to Aruba, whether it is just a trip down to Denver with a recent client, whatever it is, there's always vacations, there's always trips, there's always something, a brother's wedding, there's always something that we have to factor in when it comes to our weekly pills in order to set ourselves up for success, so that we can continue to make progress towards our goals. So before I even kind of talk about some practical things, if you know you're going to be traveling, you need to ask yourself, what are you willing and able to sacrifice during this trip? And I've maybe said this example one time before on this podcast, but I've had a client who recently was traveling for a brother's wedding, and she knew going into it. I asked her the question, so what are you willing to sacrifice during that wedding? Look, I was like, it's your brother's wedding. You want to have fun, right? You're probably going to drink. You probably want to have some wedding cake. So let's be honest with ourselves. What do you think you're going to want to do? And what might you be willing to do because you're in this 10-week program right now, because you are committed to your goal, because you do want to continue to make progress? And so what we ended up coming at was like, look, she was like, I know I'm not going to lose weight during this week. And I was like, awesome. What can we do to sustain it? What can we do to make sure this week is not as bad as it could be? That's the question that I ask so many of my clients when they travel, when they have instances like this, is what can we do to make sure it's not as bad as it could be? And so when you do that, specifically like at a wedding, for example, maybe it's, I don't start drinking until 2 p.m. that day, if you might normally start drinking at 11 a.m. Maybe it's, I'm not going to have 2 pieces of wedding cake. I'm going to have 1 piece of wedding cake. Maybe you feel like you can control your breakfast and your lunch, but you know you're at the mercy of whatever is served for dinner at the reception. So maybe I'm going to have a good breakfast and a good lunch. Or maybe I'm going to drink 50 ounces of water before I even go to the wedding. So you see, if we take the time beforehand to think about that trip, that vacation, that wedding, that bachelorette trip, whatever it is, that vacation, if we think about the things that we feel like we can control, what's the controllable thing here that I feel like I can take a hold of and do something about? Maybe that is hydration. Maybe that is limiting your sweets. Maybe that is limiting your alcohol. Maybe that is finding 1 or 2 meals during each day that you're gone that you can hone in on and just kind of forget about the other ones because it's going to be too hard, right? So that's thing number one. Figure out what can be controllable so that you can make that trip or that vacation, whatever it is, not as bad as it could be. Second biggest thing is where people slip up the most and where I can slip up the most when I'm traveling is my meals around my traveling when I'm leaving and my traveling when I'm coming back. So especially if I have a long car drive or a flight, oftentimes you don't think about your meals right before and after the flight. So you might get to the airport and you're hungry, so you stop and get a hamburger and a beer or something like that before you go. And maybe you arrive and you're already pretty hungry and you get somewhere and you don't know what you're going to do for food, but there's a Chick-fil-A or a McDonald's or something like that really close by. And so you get that really quickly, right? And then all of a sudden there's 2 bad meals and you already feel like crap at the beginning of your vacation and you're upset with yourself. And then on the way back, same sort of thing can happen. You get back from that vacation and you walk into your door and you realize you don't have any food. You don't have anything in your fridge. You don't have anything in your pantry. You don't have anything healthy to go to. And so it's like, I'm so tired. I've been traveling all day long. I'm just going to go pick up something quick. So you can prepare and maybe do a grocery trip right before you go so that you have stuff in your fridge ready to make, or maybe that's something that's really easy, or maybe you know which restaurant, you plan which restaurant you're going to go to, and before you even come home, before your flight, before your car ride, you schedule to pick it up when you get home, and it's a healthy meal that you can rely on to keep you making progress towards your goal. Or maybe you're going to the airport. I had somebody, a client recently, go to the airport, and she knows that she likes to go to the Delta Lounge, and she likes to have glasses of wine before her long flights because she wants to be able to sleep. And so instead of having like 3 glasses of wine, she said she was going to have 2, but she actually ended up only having 1 this past week, actually, at the time that I'm recording this episode. And she made it not as bad as it could be. So it's essentially having forward thinking. It's thinking, okay, where am I going to be? Am I going to be hungry at this time? What do I normally do at this time? How can I make it not as bad as it could be? Okay, not 3 glasses of wine. Let's make it 1. Okay, I'm going to the airport at this time, so I'm going to make sure I pack snacks for the airport. Or maybe I checked at the restaurants in the airport at my terminal, and I'm going to go to this restaurant and get this thing off of the menu. Or maybe it's I know I'm going to land in California at 12 p.m. It's going to be a long flight. I'm going to be hungry afterwards. And I know that close to the airport, there's this restaurant and I can get this. Or maybe I asked the friend that I'm staying with, hey, can you make sure that you have X, Y, and Z ready for me when I get there so I can have a healthy meal when I arrive so I don't feel like crap right off the bat. So there's a lot of things, y'all, that you can do to ensure that you eat healthy when you're traveling and make it not as bad as it could be. And if there's restaurants you know that you're going to, again, look at menus beforehand and kind of decide what you're going to eat, because you're going to make a better decision before you're actually there. When you're actually there, maybe you've already had some drinks, or maybe you're going to be influenced by friends. You're going to be influenced by smell. You're going to be influenced by stress, whatever it is. You can make a bad decision. But if you already decide what you're going to eat before you go there by looking at the menu, then maybe you don't even ask for a menu, or you don't even look at the menu when you're there, and the decision is already made up. So if you can't tell already, I'm super passionate about this, because there's always ways to eat healthy when you're traveling, or again, to not make it as bad as it could be. I know a lot of people just kind of forfeit their fitness goals. They forfeit their health goals when a vacation comes up, when a birthday comes up, when a bachelorette trip comes up. And I don't want that to be you, because you don't have to continue to make progress, but it's super key to maintain for a lot of different reasons. One, so you just get to your goal quicker. And really big time is if you lose progress, if you erase progress and you take steps back, that kills your motivation. That kills all the hard work that you've done in the past. You're like, oh, I've done all this hard work and I've lost progress. I don't want to do it all over again. And then you just continually fall more and more off. So make sure to set yourself up for success when you're traveling. Figure out what's controllable so you can make it not as bad as it could be. Set yourself up for the traveling days when you're leaving for a flight or leaving for a long car ride, and when you're coming back from a flight or coming back from a long car ride, and make sure to plan out meals when you're actually there and look at menus beforehand. I hope you guys saw some value from this. And if you're taking an upcoming trip, I really hope that you take 5 to 10 minutes out of your day before you go to set yourself up for success and do some of these things, because they will undoubtedly get you closer to your fitness goals and undoubtedly get you closer and closer to your best you.